video, I wanted to talk to you about preparing for an EQ debrief. So once you've downloaded that coach report off the portal and you're all excited about who this person is that you might get to meet shortly, I do recommend that you do some analysis. And there's 4 steps that I think are really important. The first one is to look at the validity indicators, or as they're known in the EQ report, the response style. This tells you how long it took them to complete the assessment, whether they were consistent in their responses, whether they might have omitted items, whether they thought they were open and honest. They might have flagged the positive or negative impression scale. And then there's the overall distribution of were they somebody who went to the extreme ends of the scale or sat more around the middle. So I find that this can be really valuable information about how they responded to the assessment, which is interesting to know before you turn to the bar graph. When you do flip over to that bar graph, what I recommend you look at first is just generally where does this person fall in relation to the norm. So are they around the average? Are they higher? Are they lower? Where do they kind of sit? And pick out the top 3 and bottom 3 subscales. By highlighting to yourself which of the 3 subscales which they're demonstrating most often and which of the 3 less so, it sort of starts to paint a picture as to how they might be behaving. The third thing I recommend is going to the item responses or the questions and seeing for those lower subscales, how did they respond to those questions? Which behaviours don't they feel that they are demonstrating? For example, with assertiveness, is it that they feel that they can't always tell people when they disagree with them? Do they only sometimes tell people what they think? Do they not stand up for what they believe in or only do it occasionally? Do they have trouble saying no when they need to? So sort of drilling down a little bit, I guess, on what in particular in those item responses, sort of resonate with that person to sort of say, no, I'm not really demonstrating that as often. And then finally, what I recommend you do is you go back to that bar graph and you intuitively pick out what catches your eye. What are some of the patterns that you notice? For example, are they really high in decision making? So obviously very outcome driven, but not so high in the interpersonal composite. So, is it that they are more about getting things done than necessarily connecting with others? It's picking up on some of those little patterns. What are the subscales that catch your eye? What are the interactions that, you kind of think are worth asking about, and noting down some questions for yourself. But just remember, it's all about the other person. It's just about being curious. It's great to have done a bit of analysis, to have that sort of view in your mind as to how they might be behaving and what might be going on for them. But at the end of the day, you just need to sit there with the other person and hear their insights.